Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Nice to have you all here. Alhamdulillah. We are going to get started. I know there's still a few more people coming in. If you can all please remain on mute, it just makes it easier so that there's no interference. Also, if you can save your questions until the end, we'll let you know when the Q&A time is open, so that way we can get everyone's questions in. We'll try to save time for the questions, inshallah. And if you can also let us know in the chat box where you're signing in from, which country you're in, that'll also help us, inshallah. So we're going to get started. Bismillah, Rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri, wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to our fourth episode of our thought-provoking podcast series featuring conversations with distinguished Muslim health experts. I am your host, Aiman Attar, and together we will explore the answers to the questions that resonate in every Muslim household when it comes to health, wellness, and healing. Many people attribute the following statement to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. However, it's not a hadith, but it's actually an Arab proverb. It's believed that Al-Harith bin Kalada, the doctor of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, was the first to make this statement. And perhaps you heard it, perhaps you haven't. The statement is المعدة بيت الداء والحمية راس الدواء, which is the stomach is the house of disease and diet is the head of medicine. Now, despite all the medical advancements that we have currently, somehow we're still all facing more and more health issues that grip every home in first world countries. These are things that sometimes third world countries rarely face. The question is, why is that? So in order to answer this question and many more, I've invited Dr. Fawziyah Abdelqadir. She is a licensed medical doctor in Egypt who transitioned to becoming a naturopathic doctor and further enhanced her knowledge with hijama cupping therapy and acupuncture. And she's also a graduate of my Nurasunna Rediscover Wellness Masterclass. Dr. Fawziyah has successfully treated patients with a wide range of ailments, including allergies and gut disorders, autoimmune conditions, migraines, and hormonal imbalances. She emphasizes on finding the root cause of the illnesses and employs diet and lifestyle modification, spiritual counseling, as well as supplements and herbal remedies in her treatment approach. Today, I'm honored and privileged to welcome her, Dr. Fawziyah, to help us understand gut health and the steps to healing from inside out. Dr. Fawziyah, assalamu alaikum wa ahlan wa sahlan habibti. Nice to have you with us.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for having me. It's actually my honor to be here with you today.
Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. So, okay, my first question, which I'm sure everybody also would like to know, is what made you transition from being a biomedical doctor to a naturopathic doctor? What was it that sparked the change halfway through your career?
Oh, mashallah. This is a long story, but I will make it short, inshallah, for the time. So it all started when I was a child in Egypt. I always had a passion to help people and treat people. I always played the role of the doctor and when me and my siblings were playing. So, alhamdulillah, I achieved this goal by being a medical doctor and studied medicine in Egypt. But while practicing medicine, I found that so many questions wasn't answered in the modern medicine. There are so many side effects. There are many conditions that not treated. It's only having a bandage that covers symptoms. Side effects that I faced, like, say, for example, the most common and most famous painkiller, which is Tylenol, is considered very safe in medical practice, but it depletes something very important in our body called the glutathione, which is antioxidants, very important to our cellular health. I also have, I had a desire to have that holistic approach to my patients that I didn't find in a medical practice. As you all know, guys, like when you meet a doctor, you only have 5 minutes or even less, and you're only allowed to discuss one issue. You cannot discuss more than one. And also the fact that I really like to prevent things like conditions before starting, which is very important to our health. And through lifestyle interventions, that helps us, like, even not going into the chemicals and start taking medications.
Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. I mean, it's valid. I think a lot of the doctors that I do interview kind of have the same realization. And there are doctors that are in the industry that have the realization but don't make the transition. They feel kind of stuck in it. But alhamdulillah, you did take the step that helps us all. Now, I know that before I began studying prophetic medicine, Islamic medicine, and herbalism, when I heard that allergies and migraines and autoimmune disorders and so many other health issues can all be cured through the gut, I found it a bit hard to believe. Why is the gut the home of disease?
Well, wallah, if you asked me this question before studying naturopath and hijama, I would say the same question. It's hard to believe. But like while working in the naturopath field and in the hijama and trying to find the root cause of problems, I found that the gut plays a very important role in our health, and it's linked to many health conditions. There is a growing evidence if we look for the research that suggests the gut influence our health, subhanAllah. So in our gut, there are trillions of microorganisms that live there in balance, and those microorganisms are called microbiota or microbiome. It plays a very important role in our digestion, absorbing nutrition, in our immune function, and even our mood. So if there is disturbance in the balance of those microbiomes, something called a dysbiosis starts happening, and this dysbiosis affects us in many health levels, like allergies, like headaches and migraines, like immune disturbance, as you mentioned.
So,
Also, our immune system, like, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, so our immune system as well, like a huge portion of it lies in our gut. So when there is disturbance in the immune system, when there is disturbance in the gut, our immune system is affected. The gut also is connected to our brain. Like, so there is a gut-brain axis that is two-directional. So when there is a dysfunction in our brain, our gut is affected. When there is a dysfunction in our gut, our brain is affected as well. So like addressing the gut issue might not cure everything immediately, but when we heal our gut, we help so many medical conditions over time, inshallah.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
How can I know if my gut is unhealthy? Are there any symptoms or indicators that I should look for?
Yeah, there are so many symptoms, but we need to know those symptoms can be different from one person to another. So you don't have to have everything to know that you have gut problems. But like generally, you can have to start with like digestive issues. Like for example, you can have something like bloating, having gas all the time, having bowel problems like diarrhea or constipation, having heartburn, having indigestion. But there are other symptoms that might not relate to gut when you think about it. Like, for example, having weight problems or metabolic disorders like diabetes, for example, having joint problems like joint pain or arthritis, having a low energy or brain fog, even skin problems sometimes is connected to gut health and connected to leaky gut as well. Mood disturbance, believe it or not, sometimes is related to gut health as well.
SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. So
So
like
then,
there are also some conditions like autoimmune conditions, like having continuous bad breath, for example. And this was one of the things that actually made me think about naturopathic health, because one of my patients have this chronic bad breath all the time, and there is no answer for that. So subhanAllah, it was actually a problem. So subhanallah, it's like there are so many symptoms that if you think about it, you might think how it's related to gut, but it is related to gut.
for
SubhanAllah.
sure, SubhanAllah. Now, what do you think is the biggest cause of these gut-related diseases? Is it that we're overeating? Is it all the processed foods, or is it the medications that we're taking? I mean, what's causing this? Because it doesn't happen just once. I think, because I've gone through this, I've gone through dysbiosis several times, and it seems like no matter how many times I rebuild it, I'm still going through it again. Something happens and it gets disbalanced once again.
Oh, subhanallah. So when the gut health issues happens, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to happen. So like the gut-related diseases or issues is multifactorial. There are so many things. Like overeating can play a very big role in it. Having processed food all the time, taking medication, especially I'm talking about unnecessary medication, taking unnecessary medication, not the things that we need to take. There are so many factors other than overeating and processed food. So, for example, if we look at our diet, when we take too much refined sugar or carbohydrates, when we take diet that is low in fibers, that all can disturb our gut microbiome, cause inflammation, and cause gut issue. Exposure to chronic stress. I'm not talking stress of exam. I'm talking of continuous stress in your life, stress in your work, stress in the world. Just looking at the news every day is more than enough to disturb your gut. That all disturb the gut, disturb the microbiota. Taking medication, and I'm not against medication. As I mentioned, I'm a medical doctor as well. But there are certain medications that disturb our gut. And subhanAllah, sometimes we take medication without even going back to medical doctors. Take, for example, antibiotics. It's one of the medications that disturb our microbiomes badly. And sometimes people take it, just go to the pharmacy, like in Egypt, for example, take antibiotic because they have any symptoms. That it works for everything for them. Like and they take the highest dose and injection. It's like the most serious thing. This antibiotics disturb our gut. The pain medications like say cataflam, ibuprofen, the proton pump inhibitors, those are a group of medication that reduce the acid in the stomach, and people use it all the time when they feel reflux or heartburn. These medication decrease the acid in our stomach, and that disturb the absorption and the digestion of our food and nutrient, and decrease very important vitamins in our body, like B vitamins and magnesium, for example. The antidepressant medication, it's like the list is so huge. It's like you
For
can
sure.
stay for the whole the webinar talking about the medication itself. When we look to the environment around us, like toxins, like pollutant, like chemicals in our food, in our water, and even in the air that we breathe, all of this disturb our gut. Also, genetics play a role in that. Some people have a very strong genetics, but subhanallah, some people are tested by being more liable to conditions, like say, for example, inflammatory bowel disease like colitis and celiac disease. Like you can be predisposed to those kind of conditions. Our lifestyle affects our gut, like being physically active or inactive, having enough sleep, smoking and alcohol as well. All of that affects our gut. Exposure to repeated infections like viral infection, bacterial infection, parasites, all of that disturbs our gut. So it's like it's a complex thing, like it's a combination of factors, kind of diet, lifestyle, environment, genetics, medication, all of them together, subhanallah. Like it's not one thing that disturbs our gut and causes gut issues. It's kind of multifactorial, subhanallah.
So if I'm understanding it correctly, that means that our gut is always going to be facing a type of imbalance, dysbiosis, issues, because we're constantly exposed to these. Some people might have to take Advil for their migraines, or they might get menstrual cramps and they take medication, or they might have a bad weekend where they've had sugar all weekend, or they might get stressed the next week. So we're always exposed to these things that are going to disturb our gut. The question is it difficult to rebuild gut health, and how long does it take?
Oh, subhanallah. So it might be difficult, subhanallah, but subhanallah, it's like rebuilding our gut. We cannot say it will take 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. It's so different from one person to another. So for example, for some individuals, just changing their diet and lifestyle can make a noticeable improvement in their gut, and very quickly, like within a few weeks or even a couple of months, they start seeing changes in their gut health. But for other people, yani, subhanallah, it's all just from Allah. Like if you have more severe gut issues, it might take longer time. So what makes it different from one person to another? First, the severity of the gut issue itself. So if you have severe gut dysfunction, you're expecting it to take longer to restore the balance and heal the lining, right? If you are consistent with the gut-friendly diet, or taking the supplements, or managing your stress, taking the probiotic, if you are consistent, you are expecting it to take less time. If you have underlying medical conditions that is contributing to the gut health, addressing this condition first might take longer time than someone who doesn't have any underlying problems. It's subhanallah, it's even different from one person to another. Like say two people have exact same condition. One of them might respond differently than the other person. It's like different subhanallah, like different responses from different people. Our age make a difference, our health status, our immune function, our genetics all play a role in rebuilding the gut. So it's not easy to say it will take that much of time to rebuild it. So it's very important for us to be patient and persistent and lose hope while rebuilding our gut, because it's something very gradual. It's very important also to listen to our body and to be consistent with our health habits. And sometimes you might need guidance or from a professional health practitioner to guide you through your journey. If whatever you're doing is not working for you, maybe you need guidance to heal your gut, inshallah.
For sure. Now, I mean, it's challenging, but is there a way to achieve perfect gut health, or is this something that's always going to go up and down? Like, should we just accept that it's going to go up and down?
Yeah, subhanallah, it's like achieving perfect gut health. I would say that will happen in Jannah, inshallah. Like,
Inshallah.
yeah, it's like like, I mean, look at the news. Like, stress itself is around us all the time. Like, subhanallah. So achieving perfect gut health is kind of a challenging goal, because as I mentioned, it's affected by many factors, and sometimes it's hard to control some of those factors. But it might be possible for us to maintain a relatively stable and healthy gut microbiome most of the time. A fluctuation is common, okay, and it can occur throughout our life due to like, as you said, like we cannot eat healthy all the time. It's kind of hard, right? Sometimes you might get invited for food. You will not tell people I'm not eating because my gut healthy. Sometimes you have to eat a piece of cake. Sometimes you have to eat a piece of pizza. That is normal, and this is part of our life. Stress is everywhere. Taking medication, we cannot control that. Like if you get sick, you will not say I'm not going to take medication because my gut health. No, you have to take your medication, and maybe you can like play around and remove their effect later on. Traveling for sometimes, or moving, being sick, the environment around us, all these symptoms makes it harder to achieve gut health. But so instead of aiming to a perfect gut health, we can aim towards more resilient and more diverse microbiome that can withstand occasional disturbances and disruption that happens in our health, and can bounce back to a healthy state when we are exposed to different disturbances. So that can be achieved through supporting the gut and maintaining the balance in your diet. Like when you eat unhealthy something, don't give up and say, okay, I already ate pizza, I'm done, and I'm gonna eat, all unhealthy food. No, it's okay to eat unhealthy every now and then.
Right.
Sorry, but sometimes even if you fall back, like you can keep going, because if you start doing a regular exercise again, eating healthy again, eating like the balanced diet again, like supporting yourself emotionally to manage the stress, all that will support your gut. So it's important to recognize there is occasional fluctuation in the gut health, and that happens, and that's normal. Like, I don't want you guys to get frustrated and give up. It happens all the time, even for health practitioners, believe me. But like, when this is normal to happen, but when it affects your life, when it becomes resistant, when it becomes severe to take it, like it's affecting your functionality, then
Yes.
it's time to intervene. It's time to seek guidance. It's time to start rebuilding your gut.
For sure. And now I've gone through that a lot. because of my
Yeah.
food allergies that I got about almost 10 years ago, I had to cut out a lot of food. So I don't eat cold cuts, I don't eat pizza, I don't eat lasagna, I don't eat ketchup, I don't eat tomatoes, peppers. Like there's so many of the, like I know the nightshade family of foods like peppers, tomatoes, all of that are considered inflammatory, so that's recommended sometimes to remove it. So I had removed all of that from my diet, but I continued to have dysbiosis until I really took control of the stress levels in my life. There was a lot that I was internalizing. And it's funny because you're right, I go up and down constantly. And when it goes down, your immune system goes down, and then you get infections, and then you need more antibiotics, and it becomes a downward spiral. So what happens if your gut health goes off balance? Does it go back on its own, or do you need to take dietary supplements or adjustments? What do you need to do to get your gut health back in the right direction? Or do you just assume that it's going to do it on its own?
Oh, subhanallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create our body in kind of a continuous self-healing state or mode. So there is continuous restoring for the gut health. Such as, like, for example, what's that? Turning over the gut lining, having our immune system, amazing immune system that fights the pathogens and the infections. But over time, especially nowadays with the type of food that we're consuming, the type of life that we're living, it becomes harder to correct this imbalance by itself without actually properly intervene and do some kind of lifestyle changes or supplements. So those processes, those natural processes, got overwhelmed over time. So, like, as I just mentioned, sometimes those processes will not be sufficient to address all the imbalance that we are exposed to, especially when it comes to something like stress or using medication. So, like, things that's out of our hand. So sometimes adjusting our diet plays a very important role in rebuilding our gut, like using gut-friendly diet, like diet rich in whole food, for example, diet rich in fibers, in nutrient, minimizing or removing altogether the processed food, adding sugar, using adding sugar to our diet actually were affected negatively, using unhealthy fat affected negatively as well. So when we incorporate something like fermented food, like yogurt, kefir, kombucha, is like that introduce a beneficial probiotic that supports our gut bacteria. When we add prebiotic-rich food like garlic, onion, banana, asparagus, and fibers, that also have a beneficial effect on our gut bacteria as well, subhanAllah. So like, in having all these nutrients benefits our gut, but also our lifestyle changes can benefit our gut. So, for example, managing stress, like for alhamdulillah, for us as Muslims, we have the Quran that connects us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like reflecting in the Quran, doing the prayer, doing the dua. Other than the religious part, doing mindfulness, doing meditation, deep breathing, doing regular exercise also can help support our gut health by reducing stress-related inflammation and promoting, like, the exercise and physical activity promote relaxation and improve our gut health, subhanAllah. Also, sleep affects our gut. So it's important to have quality and quantity sleep. So we aim to have around 8 hours every day. But what's more important than the timing is to have deep sleep, restorative sleep, sleep that you feel refreshed in the morning. Also, water, subhanAllah, even water can affect the health of your gut. So drinking enough water every day can help support your gut as well. Avoiding irritant, like you just said, like the food that you realized it's causing you allergy. This is irritant to your gut. When you're avoiding this irritant, that helps your gut. But there are very common irritants like alcohol, for example, like caffeine, artificial sweeteners, or sugar altogether. Medication unnecessarily, like if you don't need medication, if you don't need chemicals to go into your body, you don't need to take it. So like diet, lifestyle, can all play a very important role in rebuilding your gut. So, but we need to know, like, as human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us differently. So we are different. So one person might respond, another person might not respond. One person might, the sleep might work for them, the other person, the food might work for them. So we are different, and sometimes we need different plans that works for our body. SubhanAllah.
Right, and you need to be able to adjust it. So people have to know if the symptoms are getting better or not. I think it has to be, it's always good to have someone who guides you through it,
Yeah.
because it's hard for us to see everything when we're just doing it to ourselves. Now, what happens if we decide, like, because I know I can get like that too, where I'm like, oh, whatever, it's just bloating. Oh, whatever, it's just a migraine. I'll just live with it. I'll take the pill, move on with life. Like, if we ignore these signs and symptoms of the imbalance that we have in our gut flora, what happens? Can it make things worse? Is there bigger health risks if we just ignore it and live with it?
You know, sometimes we may ignore stuff. Like I myself do that sometimes. I don't like doctors, believe me. So I don't like going to the doctors and staying there and waiting and then have 5 minutes to see me and just give me something like I don't use at the end of the day. So sometimes we ignore the signs and the symptoms because we don't want to go through all the medical process, right? But ignoring the signs and the symptoms of the gut imbalance is like ignoring your car when the motors need to be fixed, right? So you cannot move with a car like this. You have to fix it. That can lead to different health conditions and risks, complications as well. So it's like, say, for example, for the when we look at the gut, like ignoring the symptoms of leaky gut can lead to something like autoimmune disorders, or like when the food from our gut skips into our blood. It's not supposed to be there. So it start having symptoms. We might have more bloating, more diarrhea, more constipation, more indigestion. It might affect our quality of life. It might affect our function and productivity. Sometimes, like I have some patients, they cannot, because of the gas and bloating, they cannot being in a social gathering, for example. They can't handle it, like going to the work, because they have gas all time, and it's quite frustrating and shaming for them. Sometimes it might affect nutrition absorption. So if you have dysfunction in the gut is a place of digestion and the absorption is affected. We might be deficient in some vitamins, some minerals, and that will affect our health. You might feel fatigued all the time or weak. SubhanAllah, it might affect our immune system. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have a huge portion of our immune system in our gut. So when there is dysfunction in our gut, our immune system also may be affected, and that will lead to continuous infection and being ill, and also may take longer time to get healed and recover, subhanAllah. Having inflammation, like when there is a imbalance in the gut bacteria, that can lead to chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation not only in our gut, is in our body as well. And that can lead to autoimmune disorders, can lead to metabolic problems, cardiovascular problems, and even some cancers. May Allah protect us all. Even our mental health can be affected by the gut issues. Like as I mentioned before, there is connection between our gut and brain. When there is imbalance in the gut microbiome, that might lead to disorders like depression and anxiety and other like kind of mental health problems. Weight disorders like diabetes, for example, or insulin resistance, increase the risk of other chronic diseases like irritable bowel syndrome, asthma. So when there is impairment in the gut barrier, there will be this, like when we have disruption in the gut microbiome, that can lead to disturbance in the gut barrier, and that will increase the permeability, and that will lead to something called leaky gut. I think I mentioned it without explaining it. So leaky gut means the barrier that separates our gut from our blood start have holes in it. Like, let's make it more simple, like have holes in it. So the things in our colon, the things in our gut, they're supposed to be in our gut and go to the poops, now can go to our blood. And when it goes to our blood, our body doesn't know it. It's a stranger to it. So our immune system start attacking it and start having inflammation. And over time, if we didn't fix this barrier, then the inflammation will be bigger and will affect us, and would affect our body, like all over our body systems. So ignoring these all, like in the gut imbalance, can have significant effect in our overall health and well-being. So it's essential to pay attention to the gut health, address concerns when it appears. So if we need also to seek professional guidance as well.
For sure. Now, do you think this is something that everyone can learn? Is this something that can be taught so that people know when their gut health is off balance and what they need to do on their own to restore it? Is this something that can be taught to people?
Yeah, of course. Like, I believe that knowledge about the gut health and how to care for your gut is very essential for every person. Like, even if you don't have gut health problems or issues, because the gut is the base of so many diseases. Excuse me. So it's important to know about your gut structure, function, how to heal it, with vitamins, with supplements, with diet, with lifestyle changes. It's very important to know that, because it plays a very important role in our overall well-being. So it's like, as I mentioned before, it plays very important role in the digestion, in the absorption, in the immune function, in the mental function, and mental health. So when we understand how to support and maintain a healthy gut, it's important to promoting our health generally and reducing the risk of gut-related issues that we just mentioned before, subhanAllah. So like, if we, given the significant impact of the gut on our health in different ways, having the knowledge about how to care of the gut, restore its balance, can empower us to take a proactive steps to support our well-being. Like including, for example, making informed dietary and lifestyle changes, understand the importance of factors like stress management, like sleep, for example, and knowing when to seek professional guidance for gut concerns. Also, as the gut is influenced by a combination of factors, like, as I mentioned, diet, like genetics, environment, having a basic understanding of gut health principles can help individuals make informed decision that align with their unique needs and preferences. So overall, promoting awareness and education about the gut health can empower us as individuals to take an active role in our health and well-being. And that leads to a better outcome and improve our quality of life, subhanAllah.
So as a naturopath, you've obviously helped a lot of people with their gut health disturbances. What kind of improvements have you seen?
Okay, so for example, it's usually when you rebuild the gut health, so most of the issues that I have, first of all, the first comment I will get from the patients is, I feel better. You know, like my sleep improved, my energy is better. I can do things that I couldn't before. Like, I can walk and do exercise. Like, for example, especially for bloating and bad breath in the mouth, it shouldn't be there anymore. Like, after improving your gut health, it helps some people with depression and anxiety. Like, you can start feeling your mood start being more stable. It helps people with arthritis to reduce the pain that they feel. Of course, with other stuff as well. It's not only the gut health. It's like you need to work in a holistic approach, not only some one thing, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
subhanallah. So it helps in many issues. Like it can improve, like on the pain scale, like the reduction in the pain that the one person, like imagine, for example, a patient who is in his 70s or something cannot play with his grandkids. And when they have this energy to play with their kids, this is improvement for them. So like the improvement is so different from one person to another according to what their goals are, you know?
Right, but it's a better quality of life no matter what. If it's
Yeah.
less pain, it's more energy, a better sleep. It's a better quality of life for anybody, regardless of their age. And children
Exactly.
go through this as well. Children also go through gut imbalances, and it might make them more tired. So even restoring children's gut health is just as important as adults. Now, in
That's
the month
true.
of Ramadan,
Yeah.
which is coming up, is this a good time to focus on rebuilding gut health, considering that we're already fasting and detoxifying the body?
Oh, mashallah. Inshallah, may Allah accept from us all, inshallah. Yeah, a month of Ramadan is approaching so fast, mashallah. So when we fast and focus on fasting and the spiritual part of fasting, the self-discipline and all these things, that provides us with an opportunity to focus on rebuilding the gut health and contribute to the gut rebuilding through so many ways. Like say, for example, let me say, according to some researches, so when we fast, that promotes our gut microbiome diversity, which is very important to our gut health. I'm talking here about the good microbiome, okay? So fasting has been shown to promote the increase in the good microbiome, okay? When we fast, the environment in the gut, it changes. So the exposure to food reduce, the motility of the gut, it changes, the activity of the bacteria in the gut, it changes, subhanallah, and that all promotes the diversion of the gut microbiomes. Also, fasting can support the gut barrier. Remember this barrier that prevents bad stuff from going to our blood? When we fast, that helps support the integrity of this barrier, and that reduce the leaking of harmful substance into our blood. So that because we allow the gut to rest and reduce the exposure to irritant, reduce the exposure to food. So fasting can support the repair and maintenance of the gut lining, subhanallah. And also the fasting promotes something called autophagy, which means removing the damaged and the dysfunctional cells. Like when in our gut, the gut lining is in continuous repair and rebuilding. So when you fast, you give this lining a chance to remove the dead cells, and that will contribute in renewing the lining and contribute to the gut health as well. Also, fast was shown to reduce inflammation markers, subhanallah. So when the chronic inflammation itself is associated with so many gut problems and health problems, not only gut. Like, for example, inflammatory bowel diseases, for example, irritable bowel diseases, for example, arthritis, is all related to inflammation. When we reduce inflammation by fasting, we don't only promote the gut health, we also improve our overall well-being, subhanallah. So, but yeah, subhanallah, so fasting is amazing. It's just so fascinating, subhanallah. It's a blessing from Allah to have the month of Ramadan, and we have also the other days that we can fast throughout the year. So, but while fasting, we need to be careful, like especially if someone have a medical condition, they need to confirm with their medical doctor if they can fast, if that affects them positive or negatively. We have to pay attention for hydration, for example. So during the non-fasting hours at night, we need to pay attention for drinking water, enough water, especially when there is like when it comes in the hot weather, or when there is longer times for fasting, because the hydration can affect our gut. Subhanallah, we need to focus on having nutrient-dense meal. So play around having, as I mentioned, whole grain, lean protein, healthy fat, like flaxseed, for example, fiber-rich food can all help support the gut health. That might be tempting, but avoid overeating, especially during the iftar. So I know, like when you have the long day of fasting, when you see the food and at iftar, you feel like, subhanallah, gonna eat everything. But like a good trick to do that is to have a smaller plate, and to have what you have, like don't put everything in your plate, put a few things at a time. So when you keep taking more and more, you will feel like, I took too much. But if you have a bigger plate, you will have it full, and then you will eat it all. So if we can try avoid the overeating that happens during the Ramadan, that will help us, subhanallah, having excessive calories and disturbing our gut. Having mindful eating, it's a great opportunity in Ramadan to be mindful of our food and chew while eating the food, subhanallah. And also managing stress. Ramadan is a month of Quran. Reading the Quran is very important in Ramadan, and that helps us manage stress. And I know it's like a spiritual month, so subhanallah, reading the Quran, making dua, reflecting on the Quran, all these things helps us to reduce the stress, and reducing stress supports our gut as well, subhanallah. So it's very important to know that fasting, subhanallah, plays an amazing role in rebuilding our gut, and it's a very good chance to rebuild our gut while fasting. But just pay attention to hydration, nutrition, and your overall well-being. So subhanallah, it's like to make the spiritual part and also the physical part of fasting that benefits us in rebuilding your gut health, inshallah.
Inshallah, for sure, inshallah. And I know that the eyes, we always say in Arabic, the eyes are hungrier than the stomach. The more we put food on the table, the more we're going to desire to eat more food. So I know somebody made the comment, just make less dishes, don't make unnecessary, don't create a feast every night. Because obviously these are little things that we can do to help ourselves so that we're not overeating. I am going to open up the floor for questions, but before we do, can I ask everybody just to give some feedback in the comments, just so Dr. Fawziyah can read your comments? Was this podcast beneficial? Did you learn anything new? Do you have any, aha moments or gems that you're taking from this? So please do drop them in the comments, and then we'll give her a breather for a minute, and then we'll start up with the questions. So I know we have two questions already, Dr. Fawziyah. The first one is asking how can they contact you if they want to book a consultation with you directly? Is there a website that I can give them for booking a consultation with you?
Yeah, my website is indholistic.care.ca.
INDY?
Let me type it in the
Can you
chat.
put it in the chat? Yeah. Can you type it in the chat?
I don't know. Oh, I found it. Okay.
Or I should have posted it before. I'm just going to take a sip of water.
I think so. Let me find the link for it.
मुझे तोड़ तोड़ के दे दो इसके जो है टुकड़े गोल गोल लगे हैं
Dr. Fawziyah, just unmute yourself when you're ready.
Okay, I got it here.
Okay. So I'll ask everyone to remain on mute just so that I don't have to mute everyone, because if I do that, I'll mute Dr. Fawziyah as well. So if everyone could just remain on mute and keep the questions in the chat box, I'll try to get to them all, inshallah. I'll do my best. Let me know when you're ready, Dr. Fawziyah.
Okay, we can start, inshallah.
I can start. Okay, so one of the questions that they're asking is it beneficial to do hijama before fasting?
Okay, so it is not like according to what is studied, it's not recommended to do hijama during fasting, though it can happen, but it's not recommended. But before fasting, do you mean before fasting
Before Ramadan
Ramadan?
starts. Before Ramadan
Before
starts.
Ramadan starts, yeah. Usually the more recommended days for hijama is in the Hijri month is in 17, 19, and 21st of the Hijri month. So
Yes.
yeah, if you want to do it before, like in Sha'ban, 17, 19, and 21, that will be the best days. If you cannot do it in this one, you can do it in the third week of the month. If you cannot, then the second week and then the last week. So it's totally up to you.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Now, is there a connection between the vagus nerve and gut health?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Is there a connection between the vagus nerve and gut health?
Yeah, of course. Like subhanallah, it's the vagus nerve is one of the things that controls our stress response. It goes throughout the body and it's connected totally to the gut. So if the vagus nerve is active, we have the rest and digest mode. So we start digesting food properly, we start absorbing food properly. But if it's under or overstimulated, it's not working properly, we'll be in the sympathetic mode, fight or flight. We're not supposed to be in that mood while eating and digesting food. We're supposed to be in that mood while in a little bit of stress.
And could excessive and loud snoring be related to gut health as well?
Excessive and loud snoring might be related to overweight sometimes. Yeah, it might be related to gut health, but that needs deeper understanding of the person's health.
Okay. Is raw milk good for gut health?
Is it
And this is
organic or not?
so yeah, this is depends on where you're sourcing it. If it's grass-fed, organic, raw, from a trusted source.
Yeah. So if it's, let's say, if it's raw, organic, it should be okay. But also milk of one of the things that might disturb the gut. So, excuse me. So I would ask or advise my, organic grass-fed. So I would ask my patients if they have got health issues to avoid milk for some time, unless it's a fermented one, like because milk is quite heavy on the gut for if you are rebuilding it. So I would say stay away from it for some time.
Right. But if someone had a healthy gut, it would be considered a healthy food for them if it was raw and
like
grass-fed.
if it's not causing any intolerance, if you have no intolerance from milk, that should be fine, inshallah.
Yeah. Someone is asking, what do you mean by unnecessary medication?
Oh, like as I mentioned, for example, in Egypt, let's not talk about Egypt. For example, someone might take proton pump inhibitors. I'm saying this thing because it's different medication in different places of the world. This medication is used, for example, for the heartburn. So you go to the doctor, you tell them that you have heartburn. They will tell you take this medication, proton pump inhibitors, and then whenever you feel this feeling of heartburn, you keep taking the medication all the time without going back to the doctor to ask them when to stop or for how long you should use it, because you felt comfortable, or the heartburn went away after taking it. You think it's the cure for your heartburn. But on the other hand, it's reducing the stomach acid, which is needed for our digestion. It's needed for killing the bacteria in our stomach. It's needed. It's really needed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it for, oh, subhanallah. I got confused with the chat. I just want to close it. Yeah, so if you use it without the medical guidance, then it becomes unnecessary. So in the meantime, for example, if you're having heartburn, it might be due to increase in the acid, and it might be actually due to reduction in the acid. If it's due to reduction in the acid, you're not benefiting yourself. You're just putting a bandage in the heartburn, but you're making it worse, because reducing the acid in the stomach will make the food stay longer and will make the digestion like take longer time and will make the heartburn worse. This is one thing. Having painkiller all the time. Some people, when they have like teeny tiny pains, they just go jump take painkiller. I'm not talking about someone break their arm. I'm talking about anything like having a little headache, not like a headache that's affecting your function, a little bit of headache, like you hit your leg against the table or something, you go around take pain medication. I'm talking about these things. Taking antibiotic all the time. Like if you're having cough, you go take antibiotic. If you're having flu, you go take antibiotic without even knowing that you have bacterial infection, because the antibiotic will not help you if you're not having actual bacterial infection. It's kind of, it takes, like if you have cold or flu or cough, it will take its time and relief. Of course, with the proper supplements or medication, not only the antibiotic, or the antibiotic might not even necessary for that. I think I hope, inshallah, I answered your question.
Yes, no, for sure. That makes sense. There are a lot of questions. I don't think we're going to get to them all, but I'm going to try to ask you ones that I think would be better to help everybody generally than more specific conditions for one person at a time. Is there such a thing as food combining for better digestion? I mean, some people say to eat fruits alone and not eat it with food. Does that make a difference on the gut health, eating fruits with food?
Oh, it's like the fat diet, you mean? Like not consuming fruit with protein and not consume. It might be, yeah. It's like it might be affecting. It's also depending. It's different from one person to another. Like maybe you need to give yourself a break before start taking fruits after the meal. So just the fact that you're giving your gut like a time to digest the protein first before adding something extra, that affecting the gut health itself, like combining food or separating food. I'm not really sure about this one. I need to dig deeper into it.
No problem. I know there's some questions where people want to know how to heal the gut. It's not simple to give it in a 1 minute answer. I mean, some of the questions that are being asked require more questions. So we're not avoiding your questions because we don't want to answer it. Sometimes the question that you're asking involves us asking more questions to understand the person's condition before we can give a proper answer. And sometimes the answer is just too long that we can't answer it in a podcast with other questions. We're trying to address, things that affect everybody and are easy to understand and easy to address. So next question would be, which flour is good for our system? If somebody is going to use a flour, would it be like wheat flour or whole grain flour or white flour? Is there any flour that would be good? And I know that flour would be one of the things that you would probably eliminate in an elimination diet first, but is there any type of flour that you would say is okay for someone if they had to eat flour?
Yeah, so like as I mentioned before, like first, it's one of the things that I like gluten in general. I would eliminate from the diet. But if someone is okay with flour, it's not causing any irritation to their gut, I will go with the whole wheat flour. So if you're okay with gluten, then whole wheat will be the best one.
And now, is there a difference between eating whole wheat as a grain or just eating it as a flour? Because I think the grains might have better prebiotics.
The grains might be better, but some people might need flour for their, like me personally, I cannot have some meals without having bread with it. So in this case, using the flour will be the best option for them. But if you are asking between using the grain or the flour, then go for the grain. But using which type of flour, then the whole wheat will be the best for gluten. Fine, like if you are fine with gluten.
So what could be done for continuous bad breath? That's
What
rebuilding the gut.
can be done for what? I didn't hear you.
Continuous bad breath?
Oh, fixing your gut.
Fixing the gut. Yeah, you have
You
to fix
have
the
to
whole
fix
gut.
the gut. It's like it can't be one, as Sister Iman just said, it can't be one answer question. It's like you
Yeah.
need to dig for what's the reason of this bad breath, like what's hurting your gut, what's disturbing your gut, and then fix this problem.
So somebody's asking about the transition from being a medical doctor to a naturopathic. Was that a difficult transition? Did you have to study many years? And I think you did.
Oh, actually, because I studied in Canada, alhamdulillah, they kind of recognize my medical degrees, because I had also my kind of the medical license exam there in Canada as well. So that makes things easier for me. So I only studied for 2 years. One of them was studying and one of them was intern. So
Okay,
it was
alhamdulillah.
kind of condensed studying, but alhamdulillah wasn't as starting from the beginning.
So another question is, why are breads without yeast better than breads with yeast?
That depends on the type of yeast, but let me talk generally, because yeast, if you have, like, it's different from one person to another. So if you have candida, like candida infection, it's better not to eat food that has fermentation, and yeast is one of the things that makes fermentation. So if you have yeast infection, you don't need to add yeast to it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to see. There's lots of questions. So you mentioned fermented foods. Is sourdough bread beneficial for improving gut health?
Is what food?
Sourdough bread? Sourdough?
Yeah, as I mentioned, if you don't have candida infection, then it should be fine, inshallah, because it has fermentation. It's a kind of it's hard to do it yourself, because if you have candida, then you don't need to use the fermented food. But fermented food is good for your gut health. So
Right.
sometimes if someone has candida infection, we replace that with probiotic supplements. So instead of taking the fermented food that might increase their candida, you will take probiotics that will actually fight the candida.
So what I'm going to do is I want to share with everybody my screen for a second. What I want to do is show you what Dr. Fawziyah has been working on in the background. Alhamdulillah, Dr. Fawziyah has developed a gut health course. So how to understand leaky gut and how to heal it, inshallah. So it's not a very long course. You're not going to be spending weeks and weeks studying this course. What I want to show you is in this course, there's going to be 4 modules. The first module is the overview of the gut health, understanding it, the importance, how the different organs function, how they're all interconnected. So things like your pancreas, your liver, your gallbladder, the function of every single organ she's going to go through, as well as the vagus nerve. So she explains all of this in the first module. The second module, she begins to speak more about the actual gut bacteria, the intestinal permeability, the connections between gut health, the microbiome, and our organs, and the brain-gut health axis. So all of that will be discussed, inshallah. In the third module, she's going to explain the causes for leaky gut so that you can start to recognize maybe which of the issues that you've had has caused where you are today. And then the last module, she's going to give you the knowledge to equip you with how to heal and restore health to your gut, inshallah, so that you could restore using foods, using herbs and supplements. She gives a wide range of ideas as to what you could do to implement it. Now, in this course, we're actually including 3 bonuses. You're going to receive the gut health ebook that is complementary to the course material. You're also going to receive a gut health assessment, and this helps you sort of tick off the boxes as to what are you having. Are you having bloating? Are you having high blood pressure? Are you having constipation? So all of the different symptoms that you might be going through are going to be listed in the gut health assessment. And then the healing gut protocol is, again, more like the step-by-step guide. So what to remove out of your diet, what to eliminate out of your diet, what to add into your diet, how to measure if things are improving, not improving, as well as some recipes of things that you could try to eat so that you're replacing the things that you might be just accustomed to on a day-to-day basis. So this gives you some ideas as to how to rebuild your gut on your own without actually having to see a medical doctor or a naturopath. It's not intended to replace the need to see a doctor, but because gut health goes up and down so often, it's important that we have this information so that we can constantly make adjustments in our own home, in our own foods, in order to rebuild our gut health. So the registration is open as of today, but the class actually won't be opened up until March 1st. So from now until March 1st, there is a discount. So the course actually goes for 125 USD. Until March 1st, there's going to be a 40% offer, 40% off offer. So you can take the course for $75. You can either, this is the wrong. You can either sign up and only pay one time 125 minus the 40%, you'd be paying $75. Or you could do the 3-month payment plan and take the course for $25 each month if you sign up before March 1st. After March 1st, the regular price of $125 will be for the 1-month payment, one-time payment, or $41.67 for the 3-month plan. Included in this course is you're going to have direct access to Dr. Fawziyah for a 1-hour one-on-one Q&A. So there won't be any presentations, there won't be any live lessons. It's just you asking her questions once you've done your course material, which is roughly 2 to 3 hours. It's not a long course. Once you've done the course material on March 7th, same time as we had today, you'll get a 1-hour direct Q&A session with her. So it's a little bit more intimate. You can, it doesn't have to be through the chat box. It's a little bit more interactive between the student and the teacher, inshallah. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And I'm going to also leave this in the chat box. So if anybody needs it, you can sign up for that. So until March 1st is the 40% off. After that, inshallah, it'll go up to regular price. But this is a good time to get it done so that before Ramadan, you've already got the knowledge, you've got the equipment, you've got the health books, you've got the health questionnaires, you have everything so that you can really focus on rebuilding your gut this Ramadan, inshallah. Any other questions? I'm going to take 3 questions and then sign off for the night. Any other questions?
Can I ask a question? Is that okay?
Yes. Can you ask in the chat box because I can't have everybody on mic.
All right.
So one question is, how can we deal with chronic constipation? And Dr. Fawziyah, you can unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic constipation.
What's the question?
How can we deal with chronic constipation?
Yeah. Chronic constipation is one of the symptoms of having gut issues. So we start working on the gut health will be helping with constipation, inshallah. But like if things you can start with, like drinking enough water, for example, start adding fiber to your diet. For example, this is general things. I cannot tell you what to do with chronic constipation without digging deeper into the condition. But this is general things like drinking more water, having enough fibers, like even the sitting position in the washroom, avoiding delaying the bowel movement. Like sometimes when we have the need to the urge to go to the washroom, we delay it for any reason, like we're busy with something else till the urge goes away. Then when it goes away, it's hard, like it builds up and makes us constipated as well.
How does the gut health and skin issues relate to one another?
Okay, that all goes back to the leaky gut. So when the harmful stuff leaks from the gut, one of the organs of the body that start appearing is the skin. It's like autoimmune problems. As our body start reacting to these harmful substances that's entering to our body, and this reactions appears in many different parts in our body, and it depends on what organs you are more susceptible to getting disease. So some people, they are more susceptible to have skin problems like psoriasis, acne, and eczema, for example. So sometimes when you heal the gut health, these problems actually start improving.
Okay, so one of the questions, and I'll answer this one. One of the questions is about, does the course include Sunnah and prophetic medicine in this course? So every course that we teach through Nurasunna and propheticmedicine.com has to come from an Islamic medicine perspective. So it's going to incorporate hadiths and Quranic ayat. So what Dr. Fawziyah has done is she's taken her medical knowledge as well as her naturopath and hijama specialization in acupuncture, and all of that knowledge, she sort of combined it to what can we include in the course from an Islamic medicine perspective and not just the modern naturopathic perspective. So if you take a naturopathic course anywhere else, it's going to be slightly different from the course that we have. There might be some similarities, but because we always approach things from an Islamic medicine perspective, you're going to get things a little bit more. So the discussion of black seed, the discussion of honey, how to rebuild through the Sunnah foods. There are specific things that we mention in the course that are obviously from an Islamic medicine perspective. How does someone know if they have candida? Is there a way to see that or find that out?
Yes, there are some symptoms that might say that you have candida. Let's say mainly it's more obvious in women. Like, for example, having vaginal discharge all the time. And I'm not talking about the transparent discharge that happens in the middle of the month. I'm talking about any other discharge. I'm also not talking about the period for sure. So having vaginal discharge, having the tongue covered with a white coat, for example, having constipation is one sign of having candida, chronic constipation, having like when you sometimes feel your hands and your feet are way colder than your body, this is also a sign of candida, that you're kind of deficient in nutrient, especially in the periphery of your body.
So is intestinal mucus a sign of leaky gut?
Intestinal mucus?
Yeah, so if someone has mucus when they defecate, is that a sign of leaky gut?
That means they have infection, probably. They have
might.
gut infection, yeah.
Okay, and last question, is this program, can this program be implemented for children as well? So the knowledge that you're learning in this can be implemented on children?
Sorry, man, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So can the knowledge that's taught in your course also be implemented on children?
Of course, it's part of the course is about the breastfeeding and like the probiotics that we're exposed with delivery, with C-section and breastfeeding and all it's beneficial, inshallah. Inshallah, it will be beneficial for all ages. It's not for a specific age, inshallah.
And if the person learns this knowledge, they're going to be able to implement it on their spouse, on their children. So if they're the family caregiver, then their knowledge is going to benefit the entire family, inshallah. And again, this is something that once you've acquired this knowledge once, you're able to implement it again and again. You'll have your ebook, you'll have your workout. There's also a workbook where we help you really interact with the knowledge so that you could learn it and understand it. The program, you have access for 1 year for this course. So the course, like I said, it's only about 2 to 3 hours. Then you have the 1 hour coaching session with Dr. Fawziyah, but then you will remain for 1 year in the course program where you can continue to revise and go through the content and ask questions on the student portal. There's no WhatsApp group for this course, but there is a student portal. So where you actually learn the courses and the lessons, you can ask questions underneath there and we answer you, inshallah. I'm going to end it off with that. So, Jazakallahu khairan, Dr. Fawziyah, for your time. It was extremely beneficial. I know it was beneficial for me. I always learn something new. And inshallah, everybody else has also left their comments as to how beneficial they found it. I look forward to seeing everybody in the class. I definitely will be there in the first class as well. So I'm excited to have everyone there. Jazakallahu khairan.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here with you, alhamdulillah. And thank you, everyone, alhamdulillah. And if I did any mistake or say anything by mistake, this is the first webinar I attend. It's kind of quite overwhelming for me. So if I just something slipped from my tongue, please forgive me, everyone. I tried my best to be straightforward, but sometimes, we are humans. We make mistakes, alhamdulillah.
Oh, you did an amazing job, alhamdulillah. For your first podcast, this was amazing. Jazakallahu khairan. Jazakumullahu khairan, everyone, for coming. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayka. Assalamu alaykum.
Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.